we have here myself, Nathan Dessaw, Anthony Davis, and Mark from Blerdography. We're all minorities in our own different way in this great country we call the United States of America. And I'm curious to hear from all of you guys, how was it growing up in the country, watching Power Rangers and seeing people of color and other representations in the media kind of as you're growing up? How did that make you feel? And if you could say something to the actors who are coming to RangerStop and Pop who you identify with in any way, shape, or form, what would you tell them? Mark, I'll start with you.
I remember. Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead, Mark.
No. Why be first?
Because you're Blerdography, man.
Okay. I was gonna sit here and marinate on it, but all right, I'll go first. Y'all remember the 90s, right? And y'all remember how like anything that was a kid show, obviously they were pushing diversity big in a lot of shows in the 90s, especially Fox Kids. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, whatever, Captain Planet, whatever you can think of was all pushing diversity, but pushing diversity in the weirdest, wrongest ways possible. Personally, done right. All right, done right.
Yo, keep going, man. I'm listening.
Okay, so obviously in Power Rangers,
hey, Chris.
First season of Power Rangers, you have the Black Ranger being black. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then you have the Yellow Ranger being yellow, and I was like, that's a bit on the nose. And then the nerd was Caucasian, and the all-American pretty girl was pink, and the leader was red. And I say all that to say this: diversity and how they showed diversity in the 90s was some of the weirdest. I'm not trying to cuss on your podcast, but the weirdest backwards stuff possible. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing Walter E. Jones and Nakia Barisa and Karen Ashley portray African Americans, especially those three specifically, in a live action format, because we've never had something like that. I love seeing how Power Rangers try to be diverse, but their rule of one per season for diversity was just a bit on the nose for me. But like everything that we assumed in the 90s had this theme of, and I hate to say it like this, the color of your shirt is the representation of your diversity and all the characterization that you get. If you were wearing blue, you are always a nerd. That's just how everything in the 90s did it. Well, look at this, right?
Blue with glasses.
I swear to God, I wasn't looking at you directly, but I'm thinking of Billy. Billy was the ultimate nerd in Power Rangers, and in the 90s, if any character was a nerd, they were dominantly wearing blue. If any character was a leader type, they were always wearing red or green or some other color. I'm not sure if y'all saw Walter E. Jones' interview that came out, I think a week or two ago, where he was talking about his time on MMPR, and before the pilot aired, the Yellow Ranger was a Latina lady. I can't remember her name, but she asked for more money. Yeah, there you go. Long story short, she asked for more money, and when you're a Power Rangers cast member, you ask for more money. That means you no longer have a job. So they replaced her and got the actress that played Trini. And then Walter was like, hey, it was one thing when I was just the Black Ranger and I'm black. Then they got in Trini after they replaced the Latina actress, and he was like, hey, that's starting to be a bit on the nose. Beforehand, it was fine, but a lot of the diversity in things that the 90s provided, where they're like, hey, this is the diversity, was kind of misconstrued in so many different ways, and so has so many different nuances that we don't even have time to pick apart here. But as soon as I saw that in the outline, I was like, that's my question. I have to take that one.
Yeah. No, I threw it in to give us a different flavor for RangerStop and Pop, because in our Chris Dunn interview with Chris Dunn, and with our Dana interview, we talked a lot about RangerStop as a fan. We talked about RangerStop from the podcaster, content creator perspective. But when I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about our group tonight, I was thinking, man, we're all different minorities in different ways. So this would be a really fun topic to kind of bring a different flavor to RangerStop and Pop and kind of bring a different dynamic to it. Because when you go to the con, not only do you have these different rangers from all different walks of life and backgrounds, you also have such a diverse community coming together to enjoy the con, which I think is partly the Atlanta vibe, but also I think it's just the fact that this franchise was a bit of a beacon in helping to normalize some of it, at least in my opinion, because I think Karen Astley is the first live action African-American woman to play a superhero on TV.
Yes.
I don't think Walter Jones is the first to do the same as the Man, but I think him being there at that point in time helped people kind of say, hey, I don't have to pretend to be the white guy anymore. I can be the black guy now. It gave them something to look up to. However, for me, being of Indian descent, didn't really get that until Beast Morphers with the Blue. And even then, I mean, it didn't really come off as like, oh, hey, he's Indian. They played into it too much, but it's still cool to see my brown brother on the screen.
Wasn't I forget his name, the Red Ninja Storm Ranger? Oh, he was Pakistani, right?
No, he was Filipinian.
The Red Ninja
Filipino?
Oh, you talking Shane?
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was Filipino Samoan.
He was actually Samoan. He was Samoan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
poor
Yeah.
Magasiva.
Yeah.
But to what you were saying, Riz, I actually feel really bad for you because it took them so long to finally give representation to you in that way when they could have been done something like that. And that's kind of what I was getting
They
at.
didn't do it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting at in my rant. Like, you know, Power Rangers, they brought this face of diversity, and it was diverse, but it wasn't like, it was just surface level diversity. They never really went deeper in it. But like you said, it took until Beast Morphers for them to finally bring in an Indian Ranger. It took until Jungle Fury for them to finally have a gay character. And it took Jungle Fury for them to finally put two black people on the same team. So it did a lot of positive things for us growing up. Don't get me wrong. But Power Rangers in itself still had a lot of strides it needed to make. Like the fact that it took until Cosmic Fury for us to finally get a female Red Ranger to actually lead a team, and we get multiple episodes instead of just one-offs, like with Samurai or in SPD, for example. The show could have been more diverse and more catered towards those things than what they did in the 30 years. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very apparent by the fact that Amelia, the Red of Cosmic Fury, took 30 years to get a female Red full-time on screen.
Right.
I mean, that's something that's always bugged me, because I know we had Charlie in SPD, and we had Lauren in Samurai, but Lauren was in like 2 episodes, maybe, and SPD Charlie was in the background, so it didn't really matter. So to me, that never really made sense to me to have that come so late. But yeah, no, I just think it's an interesting topic. And I think, Mark, at some point when we're doing another event like this, maybe we can delve into this topic a lot more. But I thought it was a good introduction to the topic to kind of just wet our teeth in it, to give us some perspective for whenever we do go ahead and do a larger podcast on your channel or something down the line.
Yeah. I was reading some of the comments, especially on your chat. They had some interesting things to say.
Yeah, I was going through it as well. I haven't had a chance to read them all yet. But let's see. Let me bring up some of the stuff.
Yeah, Eartha Kitt was a villain on the old Batman series, so I wouldn't really place her as a hero.
Yeah, I didn't know who Eartha Kitt was.
Yeah.
But hey, let's bring up this comment.
Have you ever watched Emperor's New Groove?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I might have. I don't remember.
Yeah, she voiced Irma.
I thought the Riz.
But Commoner Blackman says, but I'll say this: the reveal of Ion was pretty nice. Finally getting an African American Sixth Ranger, much appreciated, especially to me because I love Sixth Rangers. Dude, that right there is what I'm talking about. It took him that long to give you that.
Right.
I'm still waiting on a fluffy Power Ranger.
Me too.
We need to normalize fluffy people in spandex.
You know what we also need to normalize?
What's sad is that Sentai did it first. That's the sad part about it. Sentai did it first.
Well, the Sentai,
and actually, he did pass away recently.
Yeah, Kyoryu Cyan.
Yeah,
they had Jetman Yellow too. He was kind of fluffy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they.
Oh, wait. I keep thinking like they had some ones in the very earlier seasons of Sentai, but
Sentai was doing that right. Sentai was doing that right from the starting gate because both Key Rangers were a bit on the bigger side, especially the second one who was Key Ranger for a couple of episodes. So, yeah, Super Sentai has been doing that since the literal beginning.
Yeah, it's a trope in Sentai that their Yellow Rangers, if they're male, they're usually portrayed to be the obese type or the heavy eater type.
Yeah. Supreme Attorney says, they always made me the Black Ranger when we played as kids. That was annoying AF. Supreme Attorney, I feel that. I can understand it completely. No, that definitely does suck. I can, yeah.
Yeah, especially if Black was not your favorite character. Like, imagine like you being like, hey, like he's cool, but he's not my favorite. So
yeah. I've always felt like that. I even want to say this. I'm gonna give kudos to the Sentai since we're even talking about diversity. But look at some of the things that the Sentai is starting to do now. Now they're starting to have their female characters be colors other than light blue, yellow, and pink. Number one Sentai finally got a female Black Ranger, even though they still highlight her in pink, but that's just what they do. And they had I think in Cure Major they had a green female Ranger for the first time.
Yeah.
And they're bringing in American actors, like in Cure Yuger they had Cyan was an American who spoke English, who was
Canadian.
Heavy. Oh, he was Canadian. Okay.
Yeah.
He was a little heavy set. He was older, and it was kind of weird hearing him in his American Canadian accent just do his henshin, and I was just like, oh, that just hurts my ears hearing it like that. But even the Sentai is trying to be diverse. Now they have an issue with their Red Rangers and only picking Japanese Red Rangers, but I'm gonna leave that for the people to discuss in the comments.
Yeah, so RRL, Brennan Mejia is not South Asian. He's actually Spanish descent.
Okay.
And then let's see. Aka Eagle, I would have wanted to see a Latina Ranger. I think they had that at one point, didn't they? Like, it wasn't overt Latina, but she was definitely of Latina descent.
Angie Diaz, Mystic Force Pink was definitely Latina.
Yeah, she is Latina.
Just the last name.
And then I want to say they were trying to say Cassie. No, not Cassie. One of the Zordon era girls.
Kimberly, Kat, Aisha, Tanya.
There was somebody before.
Yeah, I remember.
If you're talking about Ashley, I don't think you can make that case.
No, Ashley. Yeah, I think it was Ashley actually.
Couldn't have been no weirder than trying to make Jason David Frank Native American just because he had long hair.
Well, no, I think he did have some heritage for it, though, but who didn't at this point?
Z from
Delgado.
SPD Delgado. That's a Latino last name. So
Now, I will say
Yeah.
you have had some Latino representation with Antonio.
Carlos,
Carlos, yeah. So you've had some.
That
Danny
one
from-
guy we know that we don't know.
I knew
When
you
I-
were going to say that, Anthony.
Anthony, we're not going there. Not right
Oh,
now.
we're not going there. Okay. Yeah,
Not-
we did stop on that joke. Yeah, Danny from Wall Force.
I guess I'll have to explain to Zach for Chris because he's making a confused face.
Yeah, I'm confused too on that one.
Okay, so many years ago, in a previous podcasting life, before we were all doing Tuka Secrets, we had another podcast. And for that podcast, we were talking about we were talking about top 10 worst Rangers at the time. And on the list, we had Danny Delgado as one of the top 10 worst because he was really not well developed as a character, in our opinion. And so when I was pulling together the video and getting the photos and all that to put on screen, I Googled Black Wall Force Ranger, looking for Danny's like photo, like him wearing the Wall Force jacket. And all I was getting was the Wall Force Ranger suit. So I typed in Danny Delgado Wall Force, and Google Images literally told me could not find any results for that. Like nothing came up. Nothing came up.
What?
Yeah. So it was kind of wild. Kind of wild.
But
So I was thinking, since we're still kind of on the topic of diversity and with Power Rangers, we talked about a lot of the things that finally took them 30 years to do as first, but there's still things that they haven't done that they could do. Like, I would love to see an all-women team of Power Rangers for like a couple episodes, or
A femme fatale would be awesome.
team.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
I know
Or
they've
do
done
something
this.
like maybe like a female version of Forever Red, but like not but with what I'm trying to think.
You know what you do, Anthony? Here, I'll help you out. Here's what you do. You give everyone whatever the heck Super Mega Force called a Mubarak to 5 female Rangers, and they all henson or morph into red Rangers from the past. And that's all
That'd
they
be
can
cool.
do. Yeah. I think
I was going to say Forever Pink, but yeah, that could work too.
No.
That actually happened in the
That's
comics.
that's a thing in the comics, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But no,
Also-
one thing I think they should do and they haven't done is a person in a wheelchair. I think that'd be interesting.
Well, we know why we know of a story that has that, but that's in the audio drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's why I
say
referenced it, because I
about
think
that
that's a
more.
great story to answer.
I was gonna
Delve
say
into
something
more.
about it.
What, Mark?
I said I was going to say something about that, but I don't want to get canceled, so I'm going to leave that alone.
Wait,
Okay. No, we'll leave it alone.
Okay, so how would they portray a disabled ranger in that sense? A wheelchair, a handicap like that. When they morph, would they then be able to walk?
they were able to
So-
move around and walk.
Let me give you a quick TLDR of the Power Rangers audio drama, which, if you haven't checked it out, the Power Rangers audio drama is fantastic and deserves all the love in the world. It is actually a retelling of Mighty Morphin and now Zeo, but a much more darker and gritty version. I'm not going to give too many spoilers, but a general spoiler is that we had one of the Rangers get injured pretty badly, and they lost the use of their legs, but they could still be a Ranger and morph. And when they morphed, they'd be able to maintain normalcy, be able to walk around and fight like a normal person would. But when they demorphed, they'd go back into the wheelchair. And so this Ranger actually made it a habit to stay morphed as much as they could because they missed having the ability to walk. And that led to them using up too much morphing energy and putting them in a coma. And they had to deal with the consequences from that, and had to deal with all the downfall of like telling their parents, like, hey, I was in an accident fighting evil, and I'm in a wheelchair. So they hid from their family for like a half a year, going to college and never telling their parents what happened until it came out.
Crap! Now I really want to see this play out, and like I'm gonna have to go listen to the audio drama. That sounds really good.
No,
It's on
dude, the
Spotify,
audio
yeah,
drama
check it
is
out.
fantastic. We have reviewed the first 3 seasons. We're currently going through Zio right now, waiting for it to all finish up. But yeah, Zio is, they're doing some great stuff.
Yeah.
We
And
did get
also,
our.
if you
Sorry.
don't want to like wait for like trying to get Spotify or whatever, they have a YouTube channel called Cypher Inc. If you want to check it out, Cypher.com. Well, on Cypher, yeah, Cypher with an S.
Cypher, like the Pokemon.
I did want to mention that we did have our first amputee ranger in Javi
Yep.
in Cosmic Fury. I felt like that was handled relatively well. I thought it was interesting too that his arm was not covered by the morphing power. You know that was still visible. His cybernetic arm. So I thought that was a really interesting way to play it. But I do think that the idea behind like the wheelchair ranger is really intriguing and actually would help some kids connect a little bit more.
Oh yeah, and also, quick tangent before we go back to the more deeper topic. Aka, Mikey, my friend, dude, Javi Garcia, Izzy Garcia. They be some Latinas and Latinos. All right, back to the more deeper topic.
I do want to say something about that Javi and his arm. One, Cosmic Fury, 10 episodes, too little. There was so much there that I wanted to see develop more, like Javi having to deal with that loss of his arm. I wanted Javi to be the reason why they knocked the orbs in the air and caught it in their morpher, because he's one-handed. He had to figure out how to do that somehow, but they never explored that. So just missed opportunities there with Cosmic Fury.
Dude, that's such a good idea, Mark.
Thank you.
What about that?
All right, Mark, you're gonna write the next season of Rangers now.
I should have been a showrunner for Power Rangers.
Yeah,
they might still be on air if I was doing that. The next thing
between you and Nathan.
Yeah. The next thing I want to say, I know they've done it in the comics and I know they've done it in the Sentai, but a cisgender straight male Pink Ranger, I think is just hilarious.
It'd be interesting, definitely.
And he hates the color pink at first, and then learned to loves the color pink by the end of the series.
Oh, another Vita like I hate pink. I hate pink. Oh, I love pink.
But yeah, this has been a good conversation. But
yeah, absolutely.
I think we should continue this in another podcast. We can devote more time to it.